Welcome to the Board of County Commissioners, November 28th, 2023. If we could have the roll call, please.
Commissioner Barnett?
Here.
Commissioner Baxter? Here. Commissioner Bernard? Vice Mayor Marino?
Here.
Mayor Sachs?
Here.
Commissioner Weiss?
Here.
Commissioner Woodward? Here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See that we have a quorum. We're going to start the meeting with invocation by Vice Mayor Marino, and then the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Please stand.
Good morning, all. As we move into the holiday season, let us give thanks to those who came before us that established who we are, those in the military who soldier on to keep us free, those who give of themselves through public service, those around us who we love and love us, and those who need us for whatever reason. May we rise to the challenge to make this world a better place than we found it. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We're going to proceed with the agenda approval. Are there any additions, deletions, substitutions of the agenda as posted?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the board, there are no additions, deletions, or substitutions.
Good, thank you.
I'll move approval and adoption of the agenda.
Good, I have a second with Commissioner Woodward. All those in favor? Anybody opposed? See that it passes 6-0. Moving right along on page 2 with the regular agenda.
Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion on item 3A1 to receive and file, and on item and for 1 and number 2, a motion to approve contracts.
Very good. I have a motion by Commissioner Weiss, and I have a second by the Vice Mayor Marino. All those for it? Anybody opposed? See that it passes 6-0. Going right on to A2. Do I have?
3B1.
Yes, that's even better. 3B1. Do we need to do 3A2 at all?
I did it.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Moving on then to 3B1. If I have any motions on this one at this time.
I go ahead and make a motion on item 3B1.
Second.
And I have a second by the Vice Mayor. Everybody approve, anybody disapprove? See that it passes 6-0. And we're now going to go into staff presentations, if we need to.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, good morning. Your first workshop item is on the revenue expenditure for 5-year capital improvement plan, our CIP, and then our 5-year road program as well. So you have a number of departments with presentations for you this morning. We will move through them as quickly as possible. I know we got you the backup for that a couple weeks ago, I believe it was, so hope you had a chance to look, but we will go through these and we'll be available for questions at any point along the way. And with that, I will hand it over to Sherry to begin.
Very good. Go right ahead.
Good morning, Sherry Brown, OFMB Director. I'm joined with a couple of my staff, Lisa Master and Alicia Diabro from our budget office. So we'll get started. We wanted to just go through what is our 5-year CIP. You know, we do it annually. Year 1 is the first year that is included in the budget. Year 2 is probably more solid numbers. And then, of course, as you go out in projections, those are, get trued up each year. We try to fund on a pay-as-you-go basis for a lot of our maintenance-type projects. It ensures continued operations and reliability. It reduces liability, relieves more costly or numerous repairs, and it reduces downtime for programs and services by pre-planning and coordinating the work to minimize service delivery and operational impacts. A plan for larger projects is usually a multi-year funding and can use bonds, grants, and other revenues. Once a project is approved by the board, funding carries forward until the project is completed. Most capital projects take more than 1 year, so you'll see those continue to carry forward. Contracts require full funding to be executed. So at times you'll see funding for design and architecture type things, and then the actual construction coming a couple of years later. Projects carried forward are funded with fund balances, not additional funding. Upon project completion, remaining funds are returned to the original funding source. We have many types of revenues within our CIP, ad valorem being one, which is the general fund, which is our most unrestricted dollars. Then, fire rescue and library also have ad valorem funding that are restricted to their uses. We have our infrastructure surtax, and I have more slides on that. We do have a committee that reviews those items and make recommendations to the BCC before changes are made. We have our gas tax, our impact fees, and then there's proportionate share, which is used only in the area where fees are collected. In engineering, David has a little bit more discussion on those. We have bonds, which we've issued bonds here in the last year. Tourist development tax, our bed taxes, which is used for beach preservation and currently with our stadium and convention center, and those have to be used for those purposes. We get various grants, our building fees, which has to be used in the building division. Our enterprise fees also have a capital component, and those have to be used within our airport and our water utilities department. And then there's interest earnings. So our total 5-year CIP is $1.67 billion. This is new capital dollars. It doesn't include any balance brought forward at this point. Ad valorem makes up about 34.3%. And again, that's general fund, fire rescue, and library. Building fees are, negative this time because they're moving things into operating out of capital, so it was a net. Enterprise revenues make up about 18.5%. Gas tax, 4.2, grants, 1.4, but that can change during the year as things are awarded. We bring back items where we receive grants. Our impact fees are about 7.8% of our CIP. Our surtax is $340 million, or 20.3%. Smaller piece is interest and minor revenues of 3.9. Loan bond proceeds, we have $90 million. Part of our bond proceeds, we projected that we would issue bonds later at some point over the 5 years. And then bed tax makes up about 4.5%. And that same $1.67 billion budget is divided up in various departments. FDO is about 28.5%. Engineering's 8.9%, or $149 million. Then you see water utilities and airports at 14.7 and 5.4. Some minor little miscellaneous departments less than 1%. Parks and Recreation's $194 million, or 11.5%. Our 5-year road program is 12.3%. Fire rescues capital over the 5 years is $144 million. has a small piece of 62.7 in there, the library at 1.2, and then again, the building department and ISS. So in 2024, which is included in our budget, that's the 1 year that we do adopt, we have $2.9 billion, which includes fund balance. So you see that 78.2% is fund balance, so our balance brought forward. That is the projects that are currently underway that were not completed. Those dollars are carried forward into the next year for the same purposes that you approved them for, and they will continue to carry forward till the project is complete. So some of the new dollars, ad valorem taxes is $142 million. Of that, almost $85 million was out of the general fund. Our enterprise funds have $155.2 million. Gas tax is $5.8 million, or 0.2%. A small piece for grants. Impact fees, about $21.6 million. Our surtax, 4.3%, which is $123.6 million. Interest is a small piece at $85 million, and then the bed tax, their piece of the capital is about $15 million. And that same 2024 CIP by department, the facilities is about 22% or 638 million. ISS is a small piece at 1.2%. You see building division, the county libraries at 3.3%, ERMS 2.5, fire rescue, which is funded through their ad valorem, 157 million. The 5-year road program is 544 million, or 18.8%. Parks and recreation is 6.8%, or 198 million. Our small miscellaneous departments, and then airports and water utilities rounds it out with 10.4 and 14.8. And engineering public works at the top is 152.9, and that's the portions funded from ad valorem and surtax, or 5.3%. And again, our revenues equal our expenditures as part of our balanced budget. So I'll go into a little bit detail of some of the revenues that we discussed on the first page. Ad valorem funding, it's used mostly for repair and replacement type projects. We call it our pay-as-you-go. The listing of projects are presented to the BCC in June and July as part of our budget workshops. Any changes requires board direction. So our history of general fund ad valorem funding since 2007. In 2007, before the Great Recession, was about $82 million. And then you can see between, for 7 years during 2008, 2014, it dropped significantly. Actually, during that 7-year period, we only funded about $79 million in capital. And currently in 2024, we have almost $85 million in funding. And so we're kind of back to that pre-recession time period. Our almost $85 million in funding of ad valorem, it's divvied up between engineering. About $32 million of it goes to facility, or 38%. ISS is about $17.5 million, or 20%. is about $250,000. Most of their beaches is through bed tax. This piece is for the land. I can't think of the right term. Parks and Recreation's $25.5 million, or 30.1%, and then just a small, less than $1 million for some of the smaller miscellaneous departments. Surtax is actually one of our larger ones. Just as a reminder, the voters approved the 1-cent sales tax in November of 2016. The tax began January 1 of 2017. The ordinance allows for it for up to 10 years, but it will end if we collect $2.7 billion before September 1st of any year. It created a citizen oversight committees to review spending for compliance with approved projects for our county portion. Specific projects and timelines were identified, and any changes must go to the committee for a recommendation to the BCC. The distribution, 50% of this tax goes to the school board, 30% comes to us at the county, and then 20% is shared throughout the municipalities. The original project plan totaled about $709.4 million. We estimated that the county's portion would be about $810 million of our 30%. So we felt like we had $100 million contingency built into the plan, since the estimates were done a couple of years prior to the tax beginning, and a 10-year estimate you knew costs would change. In 2021, we brought back the plan to the board and revised scopes and construction costs. The re-estimated project plan totaled $924 million and was recommended by the Oversight Committee in November of 2021 and approved by the BCC in January of 2022. Based on collections, revenues are estimated to end a year early, and so we expect it to end December 31st, 2025. It's been the board's policy to complete items on this plan, since it's what we told the voters we would do. So our re-estimated projects is over the next 2 slides, and that's our $924 million plan. Engineering makes up about $263 million, facilities $504 million, and then Parks, rounds it out at about 157 million. And there's detail for each of these different categories, and you see those on a monthly basis, and it's also on the county's website. So we'll look at our revenue and expenditure summary. So our actual revenues collections to date for the surtax plus interest from 17 through 22 is 545.2 million. What our estimate for the current, for the prior fiscal year 2023 is 137 million. I think we still have one more collection due to the accrual to finalize it, so we still consider it an estimate. We budgeted 136.8 in 2024, and we're projecting out another $172 million in the out years. So our total plan currently is projected just under $1 billion at $991.2 million. So you can see below what our actual plan looks like as far as where we've been budgeting it, because of course, you know, we budget year by year. So at this point, we have $928 million. The $924 million plan increased by $4 million, I believe, at the last board meeting when we added another $4 million to Gramercy Park. So that takes our total plan at $928 million. So we have an estimated revenues exceeding expenses of about $63.2 million over the rest of this plan. So gas tax is also part of our CIP as one of our revenues. So this just kind of details what our 2024 budget looks like. We do share some of our local option gas tax between engineering and our Palm Tran. So under engineering, the state constitutional gas tax, that's 2 cents that we get directly from the state, and that's for counties only. Then the county fuel tax is also from the state. That's 1 cent, and that's only for counties. The next two local option gas taxes on here, one is 6 cents and one is 5 cents. That's the maximum under each of those, and those are the two that we share with cities. One, we keep 2/3, the cities get 1/3, and then 79%, 21% is the split on the second one. And then the last one is the additional penny called the 9th cent, and that one is for county only. So our total local option is 12 cents, and we split between engineering and Palm Tran. We wanted to also show you a history of gas tax with how the gas tax has been allocated between road maintenance, some of the things that we do in-house versus our 5-year road program, and Palm Tran. In 2007, our gas tax collections total were about $65 million. For 2023, the actual collections were a little over $72 million. So we don't see huge increases on an annual basis from year to year in our gas tax, but that kind of gives you a history of what our gas taxes have looked like. All right, impact fees. So impact fees are imposed by local governments on new development to pay for new capital facilities that adds capacity demanded by growth. It's a one-time charge assessed at the permit issuance. There are no waivers. We do have an impact fee affordable housing assistance program where we take 50% of the interest earned on roads, parks, and public buildings, and we use those for affordable housing projects to pay their impact fees for those same purposes. The assistance is capped at $3 million annually. Certain exemptions are available. Any development that results in no new impact on capital facilities for which the fee is assessed. At times, if it's a 55-year and older community, you may be exempt from school impact fees. Fees assessed for violations at rates in effect at time of the violation discovery. Accessory structures like barns, garages, patios, and porches and sheds are exempt, and then government-owned and operated facilities. The fee must pass the dual rational nexus test, so it needs to be reasonable for new additional capital growth and adds capacity. Court case laws have really shaped impact fee practice. The impact fee program is administered under Article 13 of the ULDC. No waivers, however, Palm Beach County does provide assistance for affordable housing. The impact fee revenues are fiduciary trust funds. They may be used only for the purposes for which the fees were collected. So roads are used for roads, parks for parks, etc. May not be used to pay for operating expenses, and it must be expended in the same benefit zone the fees were collected. There is a time limitation, so we have 6 years to encumber the funds and 9 years to actually expend all of it. We don't have any fees assessed in the Glades because the infrastructure needs in the Glades are not growth related. Some of our eligible uses is a new road. We did something on Silver Beach Road recently, but we can't use it for maintenance, for like resurfacing and repairing potholes. What's eligible is a new school like Dr. Joaquin Garcia High School that just opened. They can't use it for the maintenance as far as fixing roofs or repainting schools. Adding pickleball courts at Carlin Park or Burt Aronson is allowed, but not fixing broken park equipment. New public building at South County for the courthouse expansion, Delray Beach, but not relighting or new roofs. And then again, salaries and other operating expenses are ineligible. Here's just a history of our impact fee collection. The school portion is just really a pass-through. We collect it and then pass it on to the schools when they have projects. So in 2018, we collected about $41.3 million, $40 million in 2019, $47 in 2020, and then 2021, 2022 were much larger, and I think that's just when COVID hit and everybody stayed home and decided to add a pool and do renovations to their home. So you can see in 2023, we're about 47.7, which is probably more in line with what we saw pre-pandemic times. And that concludes my part of it. I can take questions, or if you want to wait till the end, and we'll move it over to Parks.
Okay, we'll take a couple of questions now. Go right ahead, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. I have, on page 20, you said assistance for affordable housing. I know that this is a point of contention right now in what we're doing with the bond and how they want impact fees waived for affordable housing. So here, where you have, does provide impact fee assistance for affordable housing, how exactly are we doing that? It says no waivers, however, Palm Beach County does provide impact fee assistance.
Because we're using it for the impact fees, specifically for affordable housing, and we're only taking the interest earnings off of what we collect in the impact fees for it. Is that
Did anybody else understand
right?
that?
50%.
Okay, all right.
Mayor,
Yes.
you want me-
Sure, go ahead.
eligible projects come in, they come through the system as a part of what they're submitting to the county. They go through, if they meet the eligibility criteria, then we will pay the fees out of this pocket of money that the board previously set aside to pay the impact fees, parks for parks, roads for roads, et cetera, in each zone until the dollars are exhausted.
Okay. I have one more question.
Go right ahead, Vice Mayor.
On page 22, fire rescue impact fees paused in 2016 and resumed in 2019. Can you tell me why?
There wasn't a need at the time, so we don't assess if there's no projects for it.
Okay, those are all my questions. Thank
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. I'm going to move on to Commissioner Woodward, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning.
Good morning.
On page, or slide 18, the gas tax, was there a policy change that was made that took our 5-year road program numbers down with in Palm Tran? There's a significant shift from 2010 to 2011. Was there a change that was made?
Correct. The board made a change at that time to divvy up some of the gas taxes between Palm Tran and the 5-year road program. So we're funding about $33 million in Palm Tran out of gas taxes.
Was there, when this policy change was made, was there any foresight on how to make up the money for the 5-year road plan?
I wasn't here at the time, but no, I'm sure it was during the recession. It was probably just trying to maintain operations.
Was that policy set to sunset at all, or is that just a change that was made?
Nope, it was just a change that was made. There was no sunset to it.
Okay. So as far as the overall amount of gas tax that we're collecting, I didn't do the math on these, you don't have them. It's not a percentage of the price, right? It's per gallon, the tax?
Correct. So we get 12 cents per gallon as a local option piece.
Is that going down because of the uptick in electric vehicle use, do we know? Or because there's still a lot of cars on the road. It's not that traffic's not there. Is that
Right.
why it's going down?
There's, that's part of it, yeah. So,
Okay. Okay. What, can I ask
Sure,
one more?
go right ahead.
Yeah, please.
Continuous.
On the impact fees, I think that's on page 20 here, or, 19 and 20. With impact fees, does that get deducted to proportionate share whenever a development is coming in? So whatever they pay in impact fees,
right, there are credit. No, you're saying no?
Ms. Baker? did you-
Proportionate, the impact fee, if they pay proportionate fees, they get credit
Correct.
against impact fees. So that's less impact fees we're going to collect. That was the state legislature's change a couple of years ago.
and does the proportionate share, the spending that we get from proportionate share, is it the same rules and regulations for impact fees for roads?
No, proportionate share is a bit more flexible. When they do the study to determine what the impact is going to be, and they have specific intersections or lanes that's going to be added, any type of improvements, that's part of how they calculate the proportionate share. If they do the work and they pay it, then they get impact fee credit. So they don't pay both necessarily unless they run out of proportionate share, then they start to pay the impact fees again.
Okay, and as far as the rules for both of these, are both of these set by the state, or either of these set by us?
The impact fees are set by case law and this board. Proportionate share, I think that's statute.
It's a statute.
That's statute. That's
And
set by the state.
neither one of these allows for any of this money to go towards maintenance of roads?
They're all capital, no maintenance.
Capacity.
So even
Capacity.
though it could be argued that wear and tear is expedited by more development, it's not allowed?
No.
Okay.
It's really to address the capacity that is being projected based upon new or additional development. The operating and maintenance, that's, they assume people will be paying taxes, and that's what's going to be paying for the operation and maintenance.
Okay, thank you.
Very much. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Commissioner Weiss, and then Commissioner Baxter.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. In thinking about capital, what qualifies as a capital expense?
We limit it at 25,000. Anything 25,000 or higher is a capital expense.
So regardless of the projected lifespan of the purchase?
It has to have more than, well, a year is under the accounting standards, more than 1 year.
1 year? Okay. Because I was seeing ISS, very large capital, but yet that equipment becomes obsolete relatively quickly and needs to be replaced. And just wondering, is that normal in corporations to capitalize equipment like that?
Right, it may have a shorter depreciation than other items, but it is longer than 1 year.
Okay. And then on the funds that are used to offset the affordable and workforce housing, that's capped at $3 million a year. How much interest is actually generated from that fund annually?
Do you have the history?
I don't have the history in front of me, but there was only 1 year that interest, that we capped it at $3 million. It's always been less than $3 million, but with what's been happening this year, I haven't done the calculations for 2023. I would expect it to be close to the 3 million cap this year.
But that cap was put in place in 2013? should we be in, but our impact fees have gone up substantially since 2013?
But it's just interest on those impact fees.
No, I understand. However, the impact fees that are being assessed on the affordable housing have gone up, and yet we kept the cap the same. So maybe that's something we should be looking at, and also getting a report on how much interest is earned on that fund. So,
And what's happened is because you have to use those fees within the same zone they were collected. So there are some zones that never have affordable housing projects, so those are always swept back to the impact fees areas and stuff and not used for affordable housing. So there's certain zones. So it's not like you get to just take it and use it anywhere in the county. So it still has to apply to the zones that it was collected and generated from.
but it's interest, it's not the fees themselves.
Correct, but we count for all of it in the zones that was collected in those
Is
interest
that a
earnings.
policy decision, or is that by law?
Right, it's by law, because it's still in that zone. You have to use it for within the zone.
Maybe if the state legislature is really interested in helping us with affordable housing, that might be something to look for legislation to change that. Because it's just interest earnings rather than impact
Right.
fees themselves.
It's still considered impact fees. I tried to go,
Well, maybe that's
strong
where
arm the attorneys, and they didn't go with me down that path years ago and things, but yeah, so because it's still in that zone, it's considered, interest earnings are considered part of the impact fee, so it still has to be used in that zone.
Right, but we don't choose where the affordable housing projects typically are going to go. That's being chosen by the folks that are building them, and,
Right.
okay, maybe there's something we can do to fix that. All right, thank you very much. That's my questions for now.
Thank you. Administrator Baker.
No, I was going to follow up and just simply say that is something I can readdress with the county attorney, and then we'll get back with the board regarding whether we need to. Impact fees are primarily case law, and so I'll get with the county attorney's office. We pushed this early on, and I think because at the time it was new for us doing it, and we always use the interest earned within the zone to help offset the cost of the projects that we put in for capacity. And then the board decided, previous board, decided that we could use up to 50% of those impact fees within the zone to help offset the impact. The major issue that we have, we've got one zone, if I remember correctly, and that's primarily the central zone, that a lot of projects came in for affordable housing. But in the very north end and the south end, we didn't get those kinds of projects. So as Sherry stated, those dollars are swept back in. But it probably would be very helpful if we could just put the eligible interest in one account and use it wherever we could. But I will follow up with the county attorney. Maybe there's some new case law that has come out since 2013.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Ms. Baker. Commissioner Baxter.
Thank you, Mayor. A few questions. How much did the overall budget for the county go up from last year to this year?
$1.1 billion.
And do we have a breakdown of what that went towards today?
Yep.
I'll move on real quickly while you look for that. Where, for roads, the maintenance, not capital, but maintenance, improvements, keeping up with roads, what fund does that come from?
It's within our county trust fund, our, a special revenue fund.
A special revenue fund. Where do most of the road dollars come from?
From ad valorem or gas tax.
So impact fees, proportionate fees?
Those are also part of it, yep.
And gas tax? And the impact fees and the proportionate fees, the gas tax, how much did we spend last year on roads from ad valorem specifically?
How much did we transfer into? Well, just for capital, but for all, but it does include all the maintenance and things. David, do you have your total budget? For your total budget?
For gas tax, for 2023, we spent $22,642,000
Out of 72 million, we spent 22 million on roads?
for projects, yes,
Yes, for road projects.
correct.
And how much of the impact fees were spent on roads?
Okay. That goes, yeah. Total, okay.
22.6 million? Oh, that's, I'm sorry, that was gas tax. I looked at the wrong.
Shit.
So our estimate for 2023 in impact fees for just the road piece was about $15 million. So those get allocated when a project is available in those zones, because that's throughout all 5 zones.
And the proportionate share funding, how much of that went through to roads?
Proportionate share is all roads, so
So I'm done. Add it up and see. One,
So 5.1 million was prop share in 2024,
no,
and then, yeah.
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 So 5.1, you said, went towards roads out of the prop share?
That's projected in the 5-year road in '24, 5.146.
So 22 million from gas tax can go towards capital or maintenance, I'm assuming?
Correct.
The 15 million from impact fees, is that also capital or maintenance?
Capital.
all
Just
capital.
capital,
And it has to be for new capacity.
for new capacity, and the proportionate share.
It has to be for new capacity.
So really, and how much, I'm sorry, came from the ad valorem dollars for maintenance and repair of our roads?
We don't have it.
If I may, Mr. Ryder, are we going to have a presentation alone on roads itself? On just the roads?
Yes, that will be your last one today, will be
Will be
Mr. Ricks
today.
and on engineering overall.
I wonder if the staff who is working on the road presentation could prepare answers in response to the commissioner's questions, so that we can have a full recap of these issues as presented.
Yes, Mayor, but these are important for us to know, I think, prior to that roads
Prior to that? Okay, very
conversation.
good.
And so, yes, I do agree, though.
That's okay.
So out of our almost $85 million of ad valorem capital dollars, $8 million went to engineering and public works.
Is that roads?
That's roads.
So 8 million in repair and maintenance is what I'm understanding for roads?
Right.
Of that 85 million, which are capital. So am I missing any amount here? Because as far as I see, due from gas tax of approximately 22 million eligible for road maintenance, and 8 million, which is, if my math is correct, $30 million of our budget is what was budgeted for road maintenance and repair?
So this is on the capital side, but then your full budget, how much is the transfer out of the general fund?
Again, not
to-
capital,
To
maintenance.
maintenance, like operating expenses and engineering, because their operating budget has staff that does maintenance of roads. So
Right.
you do potholes and striping, you fix all the
Signs and signals, stuff like
signs,
that.
signals, and, those kind of things. So we'll get back to you. We'll have someone look it upstairs. I think if one of our budget analysts is listening, they can look up that transfer for us and tell us.
Would that be today?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good.
prior to that conversation, I mean, this is important. I think a huge problem we're having is with roads, and especially with only 30 million of a, you know, I know it comes from different funds, but of a $7 billion budget, that's what we've allocated towards roads specifically, not lights, not anything else, roads. And I would like that more specific
Right.
number, if we could, please.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Administrator Baker? No? Okay. Then we're moving on to Vice Mayor Marino.
Did you,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, you had asked about the overall budget increase. So between 24 and 23, our budget increased $1.1 billion. 628 million of that was due to what we call carry forward, balance brought forward. So that's the piece of projects and items that were previously approved and carried forward for the same purposes. And so,
But if it's carry forward, it was already budgeted last year. Why would
but
it?
you have to carry it forward so that you can continue the projects into the new year.
So,
So then the net increase in our budgets was 534 million.
okay, so I guess then still a breakdown of 534 million is still a substantial, I mean, $500 million increase. I would love to see.
I can, yeah, I have the detail of it, so I
That'd be
can,
great.
I'll send something out to the board after the meeting.
If we could get that prior.
We could get it right
Then
during the
general
meeting
fund
if we could.
increased- Yeah, general fund increased $145 million. I think about 55 million of that was the sheriff's increase, another 30 million for the BCC departments. It's everything that we do that was part of the increase there. Special revenues probably had the largest increase of about 252 million, but we also had the $130 million in the water grants. That was so that was a big piece of that. Another $62 million increase in property taxes for fire rescue in the library. Enterprise funds was almost $50 million, and then our capital transfer was $87 million.
And how much more did we collect in revenues versus last year?
We collected 534 million
More in the revenues, but you're listing.
throughout. Because we have a balanced budget, revenues equal expenses. So if your revenues increase 1.1 billion, 628 million of it was just balance brought forward. That meant the net is 534 million.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Vice Mayor Marino.
Thank you. On page 14, just a question. When we re-estimated IST projects list by department category, we have street lighting here for $12 million. We collect franchise fees. How is that revenue used, and could the street lighting come out of the IST and be covered by the franchise fees?
So franchise fees is just another revenue source within the general fund, like communication service tax or public service tax dollars. So it's just part of our general fund. So it covers all the expenses within the general fund, including engineering.
And we have $47 million in our franchise fees. So I was just wondering where that money gets spent, and if there is anything in the IST project that money could go for. Because I remember hearing you say that if the surtax sunsets early, we're going to lose revenue, which I don't understand how we're going to lose revenue since we've already
No,
gotten
we're not losing. It just ends early. We're still projecting out to collect almost $1 billion throughout the whole 10-year program.
Okay. Because we've heard you say that if it sunsets early, it's going to, maybe the way it's been presented, it sounds like we're losing money, and I don't know how
We're
that would
not,
be.
because we're collecting more. We always thought we were estimated to get about $810 million, and we're collecting more than that. So the surtax has come in higher than we expected when we first started it.
The actual
Ms. Baker.
surtax was for 10 years, or no more than $2.7 billion.
Right.
So if we collected the 2.7 billion before the 10-year expiration date, we had to cease by that December of 31 of that year, of the year that we project we're going to do it. we're collecting more, and so we're not going to go into the 10th year. So when we say we're losing money, had we not collected the 2.7 billion by a certain time frame, we would have gone into that next year, which would have been 10 years, and then we would have stopped at a certain period of time. We would have collected more revenue because we didn't hit the $2.7 billion mark by the deadline. So I think that might be where some of the confusion may have occurred. We wish it had slowed down just a little bit, so we would have been allowed to collect a little bit more to help offset the projects that we told the voters we would do. If that makes sense.
No, sorry, it doesn't.
Well, if we had not
Because we said we were
collected-
going to collect X amount of money.
Or it goes to 10 years.
Correct.
So we may, if things had slowed down and not been as fast, we could have collected for 10 years and not reached the $2.7 billion.
Right,
And it would have sunsetted at 10 years.
correct.
So we could have collected, I don't know, 6 million, 6 billion, 6 million. So if we had done that, then it would have been over, but that, for 10 years. But that's not the case. We collected all the money we anticipated earlier than the 10-year period. So it's sunsetting at the time that we've collected the adjusted amount that we projected.
I understand all that, perfectly understand all that. I mean, we gave a target amount.
Correct.
We were given a target amount, we were budgeted for that target amount, and we're just collecting that in 9 years as opposed to 10.
Correct.
Okay, so,
It's not a loss of revenues. no,
correct.
Yeah.
And
Not a
so,
loss.
but we've heard it, that by sunsetting early, it's costing us. And I didn't ever understand why it's costing us anything, because we already had that money budgeted. So when that term and when that expression has been used, I was just a little confused. That's why I was asking. And I thought maybe it was because, the money gets collected, we get interest on what we haven't spent, and so we're not going to have that opportunity. But it's okay. I think we've covered that. I did have one more question, and it had to do, and I think all of us are a little uncomfortable with the percentage of our gas tax dollars going to Palm Tran. And I don't know what the board policy was that flexed that, because that was obviously before any of us were here. But, I guess the question that bears asking is, what's the greater need, our roads or our buses? So I would like to see some sort of new analysis, thank you, that was a good word, analysis of, we're obviously at a shortfall for dollars for roads. And I think that was what Commissioner Baxter was trying to frame that discussion. And when you see from 2007, where we're spending $47 million in the gas tax on our 5-year road program, and yet now the smallest amount of money being spent is on our 5-year road program. If we're putting more and more cars and buses on the road, but we're not doing anything about our roads, we're going to be way behind the 8 ball in the future. So I think this is an equation that we have to work on better. So that is just, it's an observation and a suggestion, and it's something that we as a board, obviously since policy was set before us, policies come and go as boards come and go, and our priorities change as we change. So just to follow up with Commissioner Woodward also talked about it, and Commissioner Baxter, so I'd like to see something that we can do about this.
Did you want to have a staff direction, Vice Mayor?
I think staff understands where we are all coming from. I don't think they need direction. I think they've heard us, and when they come to us in the future with dollars being spent, they're going to understand that we're going to be looking for more dollars in the road maintenance bucket than we are going to be in the Palm Tran bucket.
Very good. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Commissioner Baxter.
My question is, thank you, Mayor, for the administrator. I'd like to know, what does phasing Palm Tran out of our gas taxes look like? What would be a reasonable time frame to do that?
I would like to have an opportunity to do the analysis that you're asking for, and then show it. I don't believe that we would be in a position to run a Palm Trans system if we phase ad valorem totally out of
Not ad valorem, I'm sorry if I said ad valorem, I meant out of our gas taxes.
gas taxes.
And then you would, I guess, have to at some point
It's a
make them
balancing
for them
act.
out of ad
Right.
valorem. But, you know, if we're budgeting is done and we're saying that most of the money is coming out of gas taxes, I would like to see a dedicated
Funding source?
fund and from our gas tax to our actual 5-year road program.
Okay.
I think that, again, to Commissioner Marino's point, you know, we have to look at what's more important, the roads, you know, or the buses. And if, you know, our administrator does our budgets, finds that Palm Tran is important enough, we'll have to take a look at those ad valorem dollars. But I think gas taxes should, the priority being roads.
And it used to be that way for the most part. We'll do the analysis, we'll bring it back to this board, and then the board will direct us on where we go from there, what the impact would be as we look at transit. We're a very large county and one of the biggest in the state, and so we're looking at that. I do know that TPA was also looking at a dedicated funding source that would definitely impact our transit system. We, as your administrator, I'm going to say, we need a transit system. And so I'll bring that analysis back to you.
And not disagreeing on that, more so which fund
Yes,
it
ma'am.
comes from.
Absolutely.
And also, I'm a little concerned when we start talking about infrastructure sales taxes, that because our infrastructure has not been funded properly through gas tax and through ad valorem dollars, that we're put in a position to do something we don't want to do. So, and I really am not a fan of being left with little option to helping our residents. So the information would be very appreciated. Thank you.
We're coming back to you in January. I did move the Palm Tran workshop from today. We're going to come back to you in January after we lost our fearless leader for Palm Tran. So I'll be back and we'll include this as a part of the analysis when we're talking to you on that particular topic.
Very good. Okay.
And as far as direction goes, I would love to hear back from my fellow commissioners how they would feel. I felt very under-informed when budgeting came around. I would like a more depth public analysis. Now, I do know that causes more for public meetings with all of us to hear them, you know, but these superficial numbers, and also why I asked for budgeting software. I would like us to be able to, obviously not change anything, but go in and look whenever we want. We shouldn't have to keep requesting information, and it should be easier. We do not have,
Good
the
idea.
transparency is so important. And I think our residents should be able to log onto our website and look through our budget, pull the numbers, run an Excel spreadsheet, do reports. Transparency is huge. They have the right, they pay taxes, to know that information as well as us. If I have difficulty with timing of getting information, I can't imagine how frustrated taxpayers are, which is why I've been pushing for a user-friendly budgeting software that everyone has access to. I don't think that is an unreasonable request. And then we have time for homework, but because we're almost in December, that's why I'm asking for more public meetings and a breakdown of these departments and expenditures and revenues, so we get a better complete understanding and not just the superficial whole numbers. So we can make informed decisions as a commission, and if anyone, you know, I don't think any of us would disagree, but I would love to hear if there's a reason we shouldn't be more informed scheduling or whatnot.
Any other comments? I think and correct me if I'm wrong, I think what you're looking for is software that would be developed here in the county that would be transparent with regard to these budget issues. Ms. Baker, I'm looking for direction.
I hear the board, we'll do the research. We currently have a software package, that's how we put everything together. We also had our budget, line item budget, on our website prior to the state requiring it to be put on the website. So that information is there. It is not what you're asking for today, as far as going in, pulling data, the system writing a report for you. I will reach out, do some research, or staff will, and find out if such an system exists to do what you're looking to do. We're always going to protect our data, so no one can go in and do whatever. But I'll look to see if there's a software where they can pull the data and they can do something on their own, not within our system. So that is something that I will work with the ISS department on. I hear you loud and clear, but our budget is on the website, and we had ours up even before the state required it. So you can go into our website, pull up a specific department if you're looking for it, and know what's being spent on a line item basis. Our budget is there on the site.
And all those numbers, do not have an easily accessible key, but that's why I think a more user-friendly software is appropriate, whether it's through the county's ISS or an outside
Correct.
source. I think it would really help the residents, it would help us to really understand how everything comes together. I think that would be amazing.
Okay.
So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, that's very good. Commissioner, hold on, if I could, just one second. I know that Commissioner Weiss knows a lot about this, so I'm going to call on him right now. Go ahead, Commissioner.
And I'm hopeful that Archie is listening to this meeting. There he is over there. So this would be a great opportunity to upload the budget into one of our large language models, which would be an excellent tool to be able to query against and be able to get that information. Those models are available for relatively low cost, and it has total flexibility. So that would be my suggestion, is we look at using some of our new AI tools.
Very good, thank you. And we have Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you. Sorry, just one more clarification as far as what this board can make changes on. The infrastructure surtax, as far as how that's spent, is that our policy or is that state mandated?
So the ballot language dictated how we would spend the funds. So there is a bit of the Florida legislation plus the ballot language that said we would spend it on these different types of projects. But the plan that we have today is the board's plan that complies with the ballot language in the Florida statutes.
So this is, either way, it was going to sunset. So even though I don't like talking about new taxes for our residents, but if we were to talk about continuing this as more of a dedicated funding source, would that, when we would take that to the voters again, and then they would get to sort of dictate how this goes, and then.
Right. But it would be similar projects, type of projects and things, because it's part of the infrastructure. This Florida statutes allow, I think, 8 or 9 different types of surtaxes, and this is the infrastructure, and it does tell you different types of projects, and your ballot language gets a little bit more specific for the types of projects that we use it for.
And this was specific to Palm Beach County on the ballot?
Correct. Right.
And so the voters chose the 50% for school board, and then the breakdown with the county and the municipalities.
Correct.
So this was all decided by the voters for 10 years. And if this were to go forward for anything in the future, it goes back to the voters.
Correct.
Okay. And so impact fees, then this board, again, we're somewhat restrained by Florida statute, but can make some decisions, or no? Case law. All right, and gas tax?
Is
How much
Florida
discretion
statute.
do we have? Statute. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll add,
Ms. Baker, I know you want to say something, then I'm going to go to Commissioner Baxter. Okay, very good.
can I
Thank
also
you.
add that we're working.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, we're working on a digital budget book, which will be available online. And you'll be able to look, because, a lot of our revenues, when we say license and permits, what does it mean? You can click on it and it'll tell you what the detail lines are of it. So we're working on just making sure that some of the prior year history is tying out to our things. So it will give you a lot more detail than in the past.
Well, we have this, by the way, I know, and I'm going to get you in a minute, Commissioner, but will we all have this before the January meeting on these issues? Will this be given to the board? You're talking about this book with the specifics?
Yeah, the digital budget book, you're going to
Yes.
have it done Before Christmas,
Before December 25th.
yeah.
Very good. Okay.
We were hoping for Thanksgiving, but we found just a couple little issues, so we were just cleaning things up, so.
Very good, then that will be
We're
given
hoping next
to
year it'll be
us
faster.
before
Mhm.
the January meeting. Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Baxter.
Thank you, Mayor. You had mentioned there was 8 or 9 things that we're allowed to spend
Right.
infrastructure sales tax dollars on. Either way this board decides, and I won't be presumptuous, we as a policy, as the board that makes the policies, we can allocate those dollars specifically to roads or wherever we may want.
So let's say we continue the infrastructure surtax going forward, and the ballot language is the same as it is today. So we'll say for a new one over another 10-year period that it's where you think we're going to collect 900 million. This board would decide what projects would you want in that new plan. Now, the ballot language may allow for parks and buildings and roads and water and different things like that, but this board would decide what projects you would want it. So if you decided that it was only for roads, you know, those type of projects, then that would be what you would include under an infrastructure.
And percentages.
Correct.
Lastly, so we know that a huge portion, over 17,000 homes and 34,000 plus residents in the acreage Loxahatchee fall under an improvement district. Do they get any of these dollars?
No.
0.
Well, we allocated through parks an allocation to the improvement district, but they don't get any direct surtax dollars. They don't get sales tax.
And again, not saying I will support this, but if there was a path forward, depending on discussions with this board, I would like to, especially with what we've seen and the failing roads out there, keep that in mind when we start, if we approve it and do a dedicated percentages, we do need to keep that in mind. It's a huge need, and we don't have impact fees, a proportionate share, because the neighborhood's been there forever. We don't have huge amounts of PUDs to pay for those fees going towards it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice
I will
Baker.
follow up with the county attorney's office. I hate saying that, but these are legal kind of issues. Because ITID in the Trails Improvement District is there, it's a special district, and it was a special district for certain things. So in the past, we have not been allowed to expend our dollars on their specific roads. However, we have county roads that are located in that area, and we can definitely expend these dollars on those particular roads if those are roads that the board approves, county-owned roads.
Mayor, if it's okay. So just to clarify, we need to verify with legal if we're allowed to allocate them dollars?
Only to follow, make sure we're in line with the law. We need to make sure we're not expending dollars on ITID roads, and we know some of the new issues that have come up on those particular roads. So before we can say, yes, we are able to do that, I need to ensure that we are well within the law on spending public dollars, because that's what that would be on specific roads, and whether we can spend the dollars on a special, because they actually levy taxes for their roadways.
And again, so do we via ad valorem. So, but now we're asking for
And that is something
residents,
we will.
and they would also be paying into the IST dollars, as all of those residents do, who should get a benefit from those dollars being collected.
Again, for our
So-
county roads that are in ITID, and we need to expand, adding capacity, those are eligible projects without a doubt.
I guess the biggest difference, when a PUD goes in, a planned unit development goes in, they have to pay a prop share, they have to pay impact fees and so on. In our area, it's only one house at a time. So they don't have to, those dollars aren't being put in, yet we've had thousands and thousands, new homes. And now failing roads. So this is something that is a problem. And just bringing it to attention. But I would love to hear Commissioner Weiss, if you don't mind, your opinion on this.
Sure.
He doesn't mind at all. Go ahead,
Thank you,
Commissioner
Mayor.
Weiss, and then Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you. Yeah, Commissioner Baxter, just, I live in the city of West Palm Beach. I pay the city of West Palm Beach's municipal taxes. And that pays for the city's road infrastructure, or part of those taxes. So we don't, in the city, now they do collect some of the IST money because they're a municipality. If Indian Trails were to become a municipality, then they would be eligible to collect a portion of the IST. But we pay taxes, we pay ad valorem taxes for our roads in the city, like everyone else. And so I just, maybe Indian Trails needs to look at what they're budgeting for. Well, I guess they don't have to, because they don't have quite the same maintenance requirements, because they have dirt roads. So it's I guess different the way they budget for them. But I mean, I think we all live in the community. We're all paying taxes to different entities, and some of those entities are responsible for our local roads.
Thank you, if you don't mind, Mayor.
Did you want to respond?
Yes.
Should go right ahead.
And that was to my point. So every municipality also gets a portion of the IST dollars, even though they're already paying ad valorem through the county, then another tax through the city, then they're also getting IST dollars. My point is Indian Trails, yes, they pay, it's benefit assessed because it's an improvement district, so they don't get to have reserves, they don't get to have extra money in an improvement district because they're not a municipality. But yes, so we still, and had a huge increase this year, and then they also pay county ad valorem, but they don't get the benefit of IST dollars. They also don't get the benefit of impact fees. They also don't get the benefit of proportionate, because there's not any new big developments that would pay impact fees in.
But impact fees on everybody.
Okay, well, I'm gonna now, Commissioner Woodward, are we okay? Very good, thanks, Commissioner Bax. Go right ahead, Commissioner Woodward.
I guess my question is, as far as ITID is concerned, it's a taxing district. It's not a municipality. But in regards to this, them being a special taxing district, what are they responsible for? Is it roads, drainage? I mean, that's. So then, this kind of seems like, I mean, I'm similar. I live in a city where we have city, county, state roads all throughout the area, and city, county, or states responsible for their particular roads. Is this something, I mean, ITID maybe needs to address as far as, I don't know, maybe collecting higher or reassessing how this is all set up in the first place so that, I mean, they're their roads, right?
The point I was trying to make is that the cities and the county, they all collect these dollars, but also get the benefit of IST dollars. But we're saying because they're not a municipality, they don't get the benefit of these dollars.
That's correct. That's correct.
Then, again, maybe becoming a municipality would solve that, because then they would get their
They have
share.
tried becoming a municipality for decades. It's not in the cards, but our residents are suffering because of the bad roads.
Can they
and
do a
infrastructure.
voluntary I mean,
You're-
if the residents would see the benefit of what becoming a municipality would do for them as far as what they could participate in. I mean, like, we just had a meeting with the annexations. There are some areas who are voluntarily wanting to join cities, and there are others saying, absolutely no, we're fine the way it is. It's a choice for the residents to make. It seems like this is something maybe they should be discussing.
They've tried last year to get it on the ballot. They had a feasibility study, and it didn't prove to be feasible. A subcommittee decided not to hear the option of putting it on the ballot because I believe the numbers didn't make sense. And so what I'm saying is, regardless of all the other things, they have a huge need. And in order for me to even consider moving forward with the IST, another tax, it really needs to go towards things that are of a huge need.
What if there wasn't an ITID then, if that were dissolved?
The county would have to pay for it.
And So becoming a municipality is probably the best option.
Well, we will, thank you, both of you. Thanks, commissioners. Thank you. Vice Mayor Marino.
I think we should go into Parks and Rec.
Okay, so we've got some time before the January hearing again, and we may address those issues at that time. I'm moving forward with staff, going on to our favorite subject, which is parks. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Commissioners. For the record, I'm Jennifer Cirillo, the Director of Palm Beach County Parks and Recreation. Coming up to the table to join me are two of my staff members, Bob Hamilton, our Director of Parks Planning, Research, and Development, and Rebecca Schnerman, she's our Director of Finance and Support Services for Parks.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, so a quick overview of our county parks and recreation system. We serve all 6 of the strategic priorities of the board and all of the commission districts in the county. Our mission is to provide opportunities for healthy, happy living through award-winning parks, inclusive experiences, and environmental stewardship. We have 110 parks and facilities and more than 8,600 acres of parkland. So parks capital infrastructure grew significantly. This should be no surprise to anyone in the 80s and the 90s. We provide a network of parks throughout our community. These include regional, district, beach, community, and neighborhood parks. Our county park system is our green and blue recreational infrastructure throughout the county. Much of our hardscape in our parks infrastructure has recently or is reaching the end of its useful life. And the infrastructure surtax did address some of what was already deferred in 2016, but did not address all of our capital infrastructure needs. We do still have park deserts in our county. Those are communities without access to quality park or green infrastructure. And without new park capital development, we would not meet the comp plan level of service projections for the current 2045 population. So this slide is really valuable. This talks about the public's significant investment, historic investment in our parks capital program. At the board's direction, our park system provides free and affordable, low barrier access to everyone. Our operating budget is largely ad valorem. Golf, it's important to note, is a special revenue fund. It pays for itself. We have 5 golf facilities and they pay for themselves through user fees, including their capital. Again, this shows a high public support and investment through the 80s and 90s into the early 2000s. And I had a former director recently tell me it's incredible what he used to be able to build with $30 million, and I believe that. This funding, along with the collected impact fees at the time, equaled capital park infrastructure, so the bonds were often matched up with impact fees to build new parks. The bond project list also included municipal and nonprofit recreation projects, so it's important to note that as well. In 2016, of course, the voters approved the IST, and we've been allocated some ARPA funding for septic to sewer conversion work, and that's through the WUD department. Capital grants are sought out and successfully secured by our department each year, but it's not guaranteed that those grants will be awarded. So I want to be clear and differentiate for the board, because Isami and I are going to both talk about parks a little bit, but it's important to note when we come to the board what we request capital for from parks and what FDO comes and requests capital for that they use for parks, but through their FDO maintenance program. So that's what this slide differentiates. We are not considered in Parks and Recreation a construction department, so we work with and through those county construction departments to accomplish capital work, like FDO, WUD, engineering, and sometimes ERM as well. It helps clarify what funding Parks is responsible for, requesting, and to contrast that with what FDO. So basically FDO, any occupied buildings, vertical infrastructure, recreation centers, interiors or offices, nature centers, those types of things fall under the funding that Isami and FDO will request. Any other hardscape you see in our park system, so our bridges, our roadways, our park, our piers, seawalls, playgrounds, courts, sports fields, all of that hardscape that's out in the park system, as well as all of our aquatic facilities, pools, amphitheaters, historic facilities, and then some specialized things in our facilities that wouldn't be what FDO would supply, like our nature center exhibits or, basketball basket systems and gymnasium. Those park-specific interior items are also things that Parks and Recreation comes and requests funding from the board through our capital program as well. So this slide just kind of breaks down of all the revenue streams that Sherry has provided. What we have available to us in parks is streamlined a little bit from that list. So this is our list of revenue that's currently available for allocation to the Parks Capital Improvement Program. So we do have ad valorem capital. Again, this is repair and renovation, kind of that pay-as-you-go. It was underfunded for a number of years, which created that large deferred list that the sales tax has addressed. You did approve an ad valorem capital budget for us this year, and it's specific to those items that were approved in the budget. Golf course, again, special revenue, golf projects only. We can't take golf funding and use it for something else in the park system. Impact fees, again, only newer expansion. They must be used in the zone collected. Parks recently switched from 3 zones to 2. So again, we keep track of that money, and the zone it was collected in is the zone it has to be spent in. And as Sherry mentioned, it's not collected in the glades, so we cannot use it for projects in the glades. And it was historically matched with other funding sources to accomplish a capital project typically. Florida Boater Improvement Fund, FBIP is that acronym that's used often for this. It can be used by us, but again, specifically for boater improvements like docks and piers, those types of things. And it's currently about $250,000 a year, but we do allocate it in our capital budget, and it is very useful. And then, of course, our infrastructure sales surtax, the list of items was approved in 2016, and we talked about the funding would end by 2027 or earlier. And then a note, all those bonds that we went over and the other funding sources have either been spent or are already allocated. So those aren't a current funding source for us. So this is our prioritization, much like I would imagine other departments prioritize their capital. Safety is always first. If we have something failing, we need to address that. Continuity of service to the public is also very important. For example, you as a board approved funding for a bridge in Jupiter Beach Park that is currently closed to the public. It closed off a portion of our park because it failed. So that continuity of service and opening that back up to the public is a priority for us. Next is amenities that are anticipated to reach at the end of their useful life. We know they're getting close to imminent failure, but they're not yet a safety issue. Those would be third. And then level of service equity, we do look at that. And our comp plan compliance, those are aspirational goals for us to meet and to serve those park deserts in our community that don't yet have a park to serve them. And then last but not least is express public needs when funding's available and approved. Any kind of new recreation that's emerging, those types of things. When we have the opportunity to fund those, we do through a grant or sometimes a creative partnership opportunity as well, as we did with some municipalities at certain parks. And then this is hard to read on the screen, but you do have a copy. It's also in the budget book that's published on the county's website. This is our fiscal year 2024 budget, and each of these columns represents each of those funding sources we talked about. So each of the funding sources we have available to us is each of these columns. So when you go down them, you have ad valorem, you have FBIP, the golf courses, again, specific for golf projects. You have the impact fee zones 1 and 2. And then you see how those total across. So each of those columns is a funding source for us and as the specific projects. And then, of course, we do try to project those out for 5 years, and we reevaluate. We'll be reevaluating going into our fiscal year 25 budget process to bring that to you for our ad valorem budget as well. And that concludes really the Parks and Recreation portion. We have a couple of very big projects that Isami will speak about that are park-specific but fall under her purview. Any
Very
park-specific
good.
questions?
Are there any questions before we go on to the next speaker? All right, very good. Go ahead, Isami.
Good morning.
Good
It's
morning.
me, Adela, Director of Facilities Development and Operations. I would like to recognize 2 colleagues. that will be joining the staff table, Eric McClellan, who is FDO's Director of Strategic Planning, and Fernando Doldago, who is FDO's Capital Improvements Division Director. FDO's role in this joint presentation is to provide you a general overview of the status of the projects under our purview, the challenges we're facing, and our opinion as to what the future may bring. As you know, FDO is one of the 5 county construction departments, of which we are the only sole internal services provider. This means that by definition, we are the one county department tasked with delivering general government projects for all other county departments and constitutional offices, from libraries to sheriff substations to park to fire stations to even the renovation of this building. Our project portfolio is as varied can be. Not surprisingly, FDO's role translates into a significant number of capital projects being handled by the Capital Improvements Division. For example, if we take the board-approved infrastructure surtax project plan alone, which covers the appropriation period starting in 2017 and ending in 2027, and remove all completed and canceled projects, as well as those that have already commenced construction, the resulting balance is about 113 active and future projects. Said active and future projects can be further divided into 2 general categories that define how FDO manages project implementation. The first category is, we call it small capital projects. This label is used to capture new projects with an estimated cost under $250,000 and all renewal replacement projects regardless of their estimated cost. Small capital projects are usually handled in-house with FDO staff drafting specifications, preparing packages for bid, and managing the construction of the project. If formal design is required, then we retain design services from one of the architectural engineering firms that we have under continuing contracts. To build small capital projects, we use one of 2 tools, either our annual trade contracts, such as electrical, low voltage, or plumbing, or our construction management at risk continuing contract. The second category of projects we handle are large capital projects, and by definition, these are all that do not fit the small capital project definition or exceed the $4 million threshold for continuing contracts. To implement large capital projects, we must have an AE firm under contract for design and a construction manager at risk or a general contractor for construction. Most of the projects that we manage are subject to the county's Equal Business Opportunity Ordinance, noting that state, federal funded, and emergency contracts are exempted. I would like to bring to the board's attention that different from other capital improvement operations, we do not have practicing design professionals as part of our staff. We contract all consultant and construction services. Our technical staff in FDO Capital Improvement Division serves as project managers. In other words, project administrators. Their role is to make sure that projects are designed to meet county's needs and implemented in compliance with all applicable regulatory, statutory, and policy requirements. This is an important fact when we assess the work that we do. I often state to our private partners that we, facilities development and operations, cannot achieve our mission without their assistance. Our work relies on retaining services from the private sector in order to deliver the county projects, be it design professionals, planners, or contractors, just to name a few. We rely on exactly the same individuals that are in the private sector providing services to private developers. Why am I emphasizing this? Because when time comes to discuss the options we have to deal with cost increases, they are no different from the ones that the private sector gets to consider. Let's review them. During the design process, we pair the design team with a construction manager at risk. The construction manager is tasked with performing a constructability and cost analysis. The goal is to find efficiencies, that is, areas where the design and the delivery approach can be improved for the overall benefit of the project, be that cost, schedule, and/or functionality. Once we have a complete design, if the project estimate is tracking above budget, then the tools we have are standard in the industry. Assuming additional funding is not available, the first tool we have is to pursue value engineering. Through value engineering, we retain the project's functionality and overall scope, but look into substitutions that may lead to savings. If value engineering proves insufficient to meet the project budget, then the project team moves to explore how the scope can be reduced or its implementation can be phased. The latter is usually premised on the possibility of future funding becoming available and can be a double-edged sword, as phasing can result in increased costs when duplication of mobilization and overhead costs occur. If neither option is feasible, then postponement or cancellation are the remaining alternatives. In the case of postponement, it's worth noting that, given the current market conditions, the same carries uncertain results. In years past, staff could have considered recommending delaying and given project's implementation in hopes of more favorable bidding conditions. However, since the start of the pandemic, we have seen unprecedented and continued escalation. Therefore, nowadays, postponement often results in increased costs when the project resumes and the potential of lost investment. As an example of the consistent increases in construction costs, allow me to share that the Engineering News Records Building Cost Index saw a 12.2% increase from January 22 to October 2023. There are a multiplicity of indexes that staff could reference. FDO shows this one for consistency, as it ties back to the approach under the Florida statutes. Regardless of the index used, the important thing to note is that most indexes show an increasing pattern that aligns with what staff is seeing in county projects. Not surprisingly, cost increases are affecting all projects under FDO's purview. For context, we manage projects under multiple funding sources, including but not limited to the IST, county bonds, impact fees, and ad valorem. As it relates to FDO, most ad valorem funding goes to countywide renewal replacement efforts of the approximately 800 county facilities we manage, which translates into 40 million square feet of institutional space. For such purposes, in fiscal year 24, FDO received $32.3 million of ad valorem funding for capital projects. Not surprisingly, escalation is affecting those projects as well. Considering that the goal of today's presentation is to provide the board a comprehensive overview of the county's 5-year capital improvement plan, I would like to turn the attention on FDO's presentation to the active and future projects it has under the approved infrastructure sales tax plan. For context, it is important to highlight that the IST project plan was first estimated in 2016-2017 without the benefit of a full design or scope for each of the projects included. At the time, staff along its consultants prepared assessments confirming the need for each project included in the plan and developed an associated estimate based on the best information available. The pandemic, the associated impacts of the supply chain, the sustained interest rate increases, and the market impacts of the war conflicts, just to name a few, are factors that were not nor could have been foreseen by staff and its consultants. As a result, in late 2021 and early 2022, staff once again, with the assistance of private consultants, set the course to revise all 2017 project estimates. That effort led to the re-estimated IST project plan that was approved by the board in January 2022. Almost 2 years after, cost escalation has continued. I previously shared that since January 2022, the ENR Building Cost Index has registered about a 12% increase. If we apply said factor to the approved project budgets of the 113 remaining active and future IST projects and consider revised construction costs for the projects that have full design available now, the resulting difference is about $132 million. That number only accounts for the past 2 years. It makes no projection as to future cost increases. As an example, after this presentation was prepared and circulated, we received bids for a racquetball court project that almost doubled the project budget even after adjusting for the past 2 years' worth of escalation. Furthermore, the $132 million does not include the costs associated with the redevelopment of the South County Administrative Complex, which is estimated at $200 million. As directed by this board during the August 2023 workshop, staff is currently working on a funding plan for project implementation, which will be brought back to the board for consideration at a later date. What does the unprecedented cost increases we are seeing mean in terms of project development? As time will prove insufficient to discuss all of FDO's active projects, I would like to share 3 specific examples in hope that the same will paint a clearer picture as to the challenges we're facing. Let's first discuss Lake Lido Pool facility redevelopment, which was included in the 2017 ISC project plan. The cost to renovate at that time was estimated at $6 million. Although the scope of the project from the replacement and renovation vantage point has remained consistent, in January 2021, the county entered into a lease agreement with YMCA for 5 acres of the park. Said agreement delineated additional development responsibilities to be undertaken by the county. Under the agreement, YMCA is to build and fund in phases an Olympic skate park training facility, a community center, and a child care center. The YMCA and the county are to share costs on select infrastructure with their contribution cap at $75,000. As I previously referenced, in 2022, the board approved the re-estimated project budget, which was developed with the assistance of our consultants. At the time, staff took into consideration the development options presented for all other aquatic facilities being designed and opted for a mid-scope redevelopment option across the board, which resulted in a revised project budget of about $12 million. Where do we stand today in this project? The project has 3 phases. Phase 1 consists of tree mitigation and site work, carries a construction cost of $1.4 million, and is currently under construction as it was approved by the board in September 2023. Phase 2 will provide for demolition of the existing site and civil infrastructure, construction of the new site and civil infrastructure, and landscaping work. Staff and the project team is finalizing the guaranteed maximum price for phase number 2 and expects that due to funding limitations, it will be closer to $9 million rather than the 9.3 we're showing on the slide. To achieve that budget number, that funding number, we work together with the project team to remove one section of the site infrastructure to make sure that funding availability align with the overall scope. Phase 2 includes the site work that the county is required to provide under the lease agreement with YMCA to allow YMCA to move forward with their part of the project, and we know they're aligning to proceed in such a way. If phase 2 of the project is approved, all existing funding will be depleted, which means that phase 3, which carries the bulk of the project and includes construction of the aquatic complex, will be pending. That phase 3 has an estimated construction cost of $17 million. What does this mean in terms of an approved project budget? In 2017, the project budget, as I stated before, was $6 million. In 2022, it increased to $12.1 million. Considering the current construction costs for phase 3, the project budget will need to increase to about $31 million to cover all phases of design and construction. And when I talk about project budget, it includes all hard and soft costs, and I shall make that clear. Moreover, we must not forget that at the end, the bidding process brings the final number to the table. We have seen one too many projects where we work through estimates or with estimates throughout the process, and then the bidding still comes higher than expected. And that is certainly a sign of a market that is still very volatile. I would like to bring to the board's attention that sitting in the audience and available to answer questions as to these projects are representatives from the design and the construction firms. Mr. Rene Tercilla, partner of Harbor Jolly, is representing the design firm. Mr. John Torrey, Vice President of Operations, and Mr. Mark Rass, Project Manager, are representing Kaufman Lin Construction, the construction manager at risk firm. Next project we would like to highlight is Canyons District Park. When the IST project plan was approved in 2017, the total project budget was $12 million. In 2022, through the re-estimating effort, the revised project budget was determined to be close to $25 million. The project is therefore being implemented in 2 phases. Phase 1 was placed in service last year. Phase 2 is currently under design. 95% construction drawings are under review, and the current construction cost estimate for that phase 2 is $27 million. Phase 2 is expected to deliver the All Abilities Playground, softball, baseball, and multi-purpose fields, my apologies, pavilions, restrooms, parking, and associated infrastructure. If we take into account the estimated construction cost of $27 million for Phase 2, and then the revised total project budget becomes near to $41 million of infrastructure surtax funds, taking into account that this project also has about $3 million of impact fees assigned. The design firm for this project is Architecture Green. Mr. Mark Betty is principal, is joining in the audience. So is the construction manager representatives from Kaufman Lean Construction, as I stated before, Mr. John Torrey and Mr. Mark Rast. Canyons Park provides an interesting view into the paths that public capital development might take, along with the associated timelines. So we would like to walk this board through that historical context. In the early 2000s, representatives from GL Homes and county staff initiated conversations regarding the possibility of GL Homes establishing a large civic site land bank in the western Boynton Beach area, which could be used to meet future civic site requirements arising out of GL Homes' numerous planned future residential developments. The negotiations were successful, and in 2004, the board approved a civic site agreement that led to the creation of a 63-acre site. The property was conveyed to the county 5 years later, in 2009. County's ownership of that real estate allowed for planning of the associated capital improvements to proceed, and that was done as a function of the level of service projections and required funding appropriation. Design for Phase 1 and 1A of the park commenced in August of 2017, while design for the library commenced in May 2019. Phase 1A of the park was completed last year in September 2022. The library is currently in construction, with substantial completion being expected between April and June. We have April in the presentation, but I received, after the presentation was circulated, an update that is pointing towards June. As previously discussed, Phase 2 of the park is under design and in need of additional funding if the full scope of the project is to be delivered. And then lastly, as part of that civic site, we also have an entitlement for about 59 housing units. That's a project we have not commenced efforts yet, because we're currently using the site for staging purposes and the other developments that we're carrying in the area. The third and final project we would like to highlight is animal care and control. In 2017, the project was envisioned as a renovation of the existing facility and carried an assigned budget of about $21 million. In 2020, following a comparative study and 3 conceptual options developed by the design team, the board directed staff to pursue an expanded renovation expansion design of the facility, which then carried an estimated project cost of about $48 million. That estimate is the one we included in the re-estimate effort that was approved by the board in 2022. As of this presentation, design development drawings have been completed, and staff intends to authorize construction drawings in January 24, as the funding appropriation for construction is included in the fiscal year 25 of the ISD project plan. That said, the updated project cost based on design development drawings is close to $70 million. Therefore, staff expects that this project will also face a funding shortfall. It is often said that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Therefore, we felt it appropriate to share with the board a couple of renderings based on design development drawings as to what the facility will look like if construction progresses based on the current direction and design approach. Just like with the prior projects, we have representatives from the project team present in the audience. We have Mr. Ian Nestler, principal from PGAL, the design firm, and Tom Jacobson, and I apologize for mispronouncing that last name, who is the South Florida area manager with Wharton Smith, the construction management firm, who are here to assist us. The question is often asked as to how we, Palm Beach County, compare to other localities and even the national level. From staff's perspective, the cost increases we're experiencing are in alignment with what is being experienced at the national level. The pictures on this slide help share what we have seen being reported in multiple industry outlets. Going a step further and making the most of having two nationally recognized consultant firms under contract, Ecom and Jacobs, we reached out to them and requested opinion letters as to what they were seeing in Palm Beach County and how the same compares to what other jurisdictions are experiencing. Mr. Jay Sayas, Associate Vice President from Ecom, is in the audience as well and willing to answer questions from the board as the board deems is appropriate. He provided Ecom's letter, and I would like to highlight just a couple key sections. First, the company has found project budgets in many of the programs it is managing for other customers to have been adversely affected by rising costs for reasons including the effects of the pandemic, labor shortages, supply chain delays, and raw material cost increases, amongst other factors. Second, that construction costs will likely continue to increase. Jacobs, which is the firm that assists staff through the 2021-22 re-estimate effort, provided us an opinion letter as well. Worth noting from that letter is that they highlight the competition that the current rate of K-12 construction projects in Palm Beach, Broward County, Miami-Dade counties, and other Florida counties has created amongst owners for us to be able to hire contractors and subcontractors that can deliver the projects we need and have the capacity to do so. In alignment with Ecom, Jacobs also projects continued escalation. From Jacobs, we have here Jonathan Jordan, who is the Florida business leader for the company and is willing to assist as well. In closing, it could be argued that the rules have certainly changed during the past few years. In the past 3 years, the construction industry has been hit with a multiplicity of conditions that have resulted in cost increases and have made it more difficult to estimate costs now and into the future. Our consultants in the private sector are facing the same challenges we are, and so are our peers. This concludes FDO's portion of the presentation. We, as staff and our consultants, will gladly take and address any questions as the board deems it appropriate. If not, then I will leave the floor to County Engineer David Ricks, who has the next portion of the presentation.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Now you can take a deep breath. You did that all almost on one breath. I was watching you. And I'm sure we have some questions. If we don't mind, we'll go forward on those questions right now, starting with Vice Mayor Marino.
Thank you. It's me when you were in, we were talking about this, was that only yesterday? Heavens. And you gave the examples of the 3 projects. The one glaring problem I saw and you and I discussed was the fact that the original bids on everything was really not a complete estimate.
Vice Mayor Marino, could you just speak up a little bit more?
Oh,
Maybe into the microphone.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you.
Is that better? Can you hear me now? I feel like a AT&T commercial. Can you hear me now? Yesterday, you and I were speaking about the original budgeting of a project, and it was not a complete budgeting of a project. Perfect example is the $6 million that then went to, hold on, let me go to that. The Lake Lytle project. The $6 million in the original project budget did not include complete designs and engineering. And I don't think we should be budgeting a project without, this is a general comment. This is not I'm not pointing any fingers, I'm just saying as a general comment, we can't budget a project if we don't have complete engineering and design, because then it comes in and it's double the price of what we estimated, and now we have to go back to figure out how we're going to get double that money, and how a project like animal care and control is now $70 million for, how big of a square foot building is that?
I don't remember top of my mind. Any chance, Fernando or Eric? You might remember
I'm
the
sorry,
square
but
footage.
$70 million for animal care and control is way out of whack. way out of whack.
Good morning, Commissioners. Fernando Deldago, pleasure meeting you.
Nice to see you.
The PJL is a design team. It is in the design phase. 100,000 square feet is where we currently are at the design development phase.
I don't know about anybody else, but I'm can't see spending $70 million on a building. And I apologize. I know all the animal lovers out there are going to hate me right at this moment, but I am an animal lover as long as I don't own one. As long as the 7 cats belong to Greg Weiss, I'm good. But I would say that at Canyons Park too, and at Lake Lytle, our budgeting, our estimation of budgeting has been really off target. And I said it last week, I'm tired of hearing about COVID and the supply chain issues and all of that kind of stuff. We need to figure out what is a want and what is a need. And if it's a want, I think it needs to be put on the back burner. We just did a tax cut on purpose to our residents so that they could afford the insurance and the taxes on their homes. This is such a, every budget, every meeting, we are amending a contract. Overruns. We did it right in the front of this, right in the front of our book today for facilities and operations. We did an additional $1.7 million for furniture. I had questions about that, but we need to do a better job. And I can't in good conscience say, yes, we're going to spend $70 million on a building. It could be for other things, not just animals, by the way. We're not doing a good job. And I can't go to our residents and say, we haven't budgeted properly. So I think we need to go back to the drawing board. And when you all come to us with a budget proposal, and I've asked this before, did we do something that, here's 10% for contingencies, but it's always, well, we opened up this wall and we found this problem. Well, there should be ground penetrating and wall penetrating equipment that tells you what the problems are behind those walls. And I know we're coming to be the Jetsons pretty soon, but we're not doing the right job. We're not doing the cost-effective job. We're constantly changing our budget and adding money for shortfalls. We as a board can't continue to do that. I want a new kitchen, but I can't afford $50,000 for a new kitchen. I may be able to afford $5,000 to reface the cabinets. That's my budget. That's all the money I have. I'm not going to say I'm going to budget $50,000 when I only have $5,000. We are now looking at IST dollars that aren't going to cover our projects. We're looking at roads that are failing because we don't have enough gas tax dollars. And David, when we get to that portion of your proposal, your presentation, I have questions on gas tax dollars. So this is a long-winded way of saying we need to do this process better. I don't want to see $6 million coming to me, and then the next time it's, well, we added the design and the engineering, so now it's $12 million. That's a failure. I've been using a lot that word, and I don't want to use that word anymore. So, again, I'm $70 million for animal care and control. Oh, and $200 million for South County? No, sorry, no. That's not a good use of our taxpayer dollars. So I know every time we make a change, it costs money. Every time we tell you to do something different, it costs money. We can't continue to underestimate what it costs to design and build something. And maybe it should be design build. That's it. And if it goes over, then it's not on our backs, it's on someone else's backs. But this is, I just lit a fire. I'm sorry. It's like a bonfire up here. But this is not acceptable, and it's got to change. Sorry. That was a commentary, not a question.
It's quite okay. Thank you, Vice Mayor. I know Administrator Baker, you want to say something, and then we'll go to Commissioner Woodward.
Just a question for clarification purposes. Our process has been, projects are identified that the board wants done. And then we take it, and most of the time, we don't have the money, all of it. So we phase projects. The first phase is the engineering and designing, the drawings, et cetera. We don't do complete drawings before we get started, because we don't know whether the board wants a project or not. So that's phase one normally. Then that tells us, based upon the design, what that project will cost us on the construction side, which is normally the phase two portion of the project. Sometimes things change. We bring options to the board. I'll take animal care and control for one. When we first started with that project decades ago, what we brought to the board, and correct me, Eric, I think you and I were on, it was not air conditioned. That's correct. Our board said, no, we want air conditioning. And that project went from this type of project to a very larger project. So the cost continued to grow. And because we didn't have the money and we budgeted as a part of the IST to complete that project, the cost escalated over the time. So I hear this board, every board will govern. So we'll change our process. And so when we come to you, we'll come to you and say, here are a list of projects, either we need renewal and replacement, or you tell us you want a new type of project. Then you will also tell us that you want us, before you make a final decision, however much it's gonna cost to do a complete drawing of that project, or at least 90% drawing, which will cost funding as well, before you make a decision on whether you're gonna move forward with the project. And this is just simple clarification. We will do it however this board deems appropriate. But our normal process is this board tells us what projects it want. We provide you during the budget process whatever renewal and replacement we've got that we are recommending for your consideration. You then tell us. And then that's when we go put it out for bid or RFP. We get our CM at risk or design and engineering group to bid on it. They start with the work. We then bring in a manager at risk. They then sub out the work, and that's how the normal process happens. But if this board wants it totally done different, and trust me, my hair wasn't always this color. So every time staff comes to me with additional costs, and it keeps escalating, we have some lively discussions, because I know this board is gonna have lively discussions with me. So I want to make sure I'm understanding. And as Isami stated, we go through a process that says, what can we cut back? What can we do value engineering on? Should we be recommending to the board to eliminate this project? Should we be, only doing a certain portion like the basics and reconsider all the additional things that we added? So it's a new process, it's a new board, and yes, we are looking for direction on how we can better do this, because every time that cost continues to escalate, I'm doing my calculations and I know we don't have the funding. So at some point, we may just need to stop with new projects and complete the existing projects if that is the board's desire. If not, we may need to take some of those projects off the table. I do want to say for the IST-funded projects, that is what we promised the public, and as your administrator, I've been trying to hold the line to make sure we deliver the IST projects that we promised the public that we would deliver.
And this is why this is a workshop. So it may be by the end of this workshop, we'll have some suggestions for changes in the way that we proceed on these projects. And now, Commissioner Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. You said that we have a few experts from construction contracting here.
We have representatives from each of the project teams for the 3 projects that I highlighted, and we have a representative from Ecom and a representative from Jacobs. And those 2 are the firms that are currently assisting us with project management support.
Okay, so the ones who, sorry, it's really small writing, who gave us the construction cost forecast? Is that here?
Yeah,
The-
we have Jay
Jacobs?
Sadias from Ecom.
And Ecom, yes.
That is
Very-
correct.
I have a couple questions if they wouldn't mind coming.
Would you come forward, sir?
And we also have Jonathan Jordan from Jacobs.
Okay.
Very good. We could have both gentlemen come forward. And identify yourselves for the record, please.
Hi, I'm Jay Zayas with AECom.
Sir?
Hi, I'm Jonathan Jordan, Jacobs.
Very good.
Oh, thank you for coming, meeting each other.
Get to know each other.
I had a couple questions for you. I come from industrial contracting out there in the private world. This is a very different world. I had South Florida Business Journal just had an article written about commercial lending and how it's affecting construction down here. I was just wondering, could you kind of just give us some information on that so we understand more of what we're dealing with? It's not just leftovers from the pandemic that we all hear about all the time. Is the commercial lending a problem for our local contractors here?
I'm not finding any problems with commercial lending per se, it's just the market conditions.
So
that
you're
we're
going
all
to need
in.
to speak into the microphone.
I'm not seeing any specific lending issues that we're dealing with. It's just the market conditions that everyone's kind of dealing with. Are you seeing it?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Lending is not the issue here in this discussion. It's more of supply and demand.
Supply and demand, like raw material shortages, supply chains, what are,
Contractors,
Contractor.
subcontractor availability, labor availability, and materials, cost of materials.
Competition, small market. I mean, labor market is smaller, so.
so do you deal with private contracts and government ones, or are you just here speaking on government contracts?
Jacobs deals with both, but primarily public institutions, municipalities, school districts, federal government.
Okay.
Yeah, we deal with both as well, and they're both seeing the same type of challenges, per se. And I don't think it's separate. Construction is generally using the same kind of pools of personnel, so I guess everybody's competing for the same thing. It's all depending on local aspects. I believe.
Well, my question is, it's been brought to my attention that if a subcontractor has the choice and they could bid on a private job versus a government one, they're going to choose private all day long. Is that something that you're seeing right now? When business is good, they would choose to go private versus bidding with us.
I think what drives them is being paid on time, to be honest with you. And so that's the main factor I see. I don't see anything different on those.
Generally, it's, where they can get reliability from their clients, from their owners, and when they
Right.
can be assured that they'll be paid for their services. And certainly, the county is one of those that I think is a favored
Right.
owner, as well as school districts and other governmental.
Right, so, yeah.
So we shouldn't see any problems with people bidding with us because we do pay our contractors. Yes?
Correct.
Well, but that's why we have sureties, right? So, yeah. Okay, thank you. That was all. For staff,
Thank
if
you,
I could-
gentlemen, you can sit down.
Thank you. If I could.
Go ahead, right ahead,
Thank you. As far as getting to liquidated damages, Mr. Rudder, I know I've had this conversation with you when it comes to roads. And if there's a state of emergency that's issued, is it the same rules apply to capital projects that are being built as far as the extended time that they're giving automatically?
So you're referring to with development orders and projects that can extend the timeframes that local governments may have requirements for zoning projects. I think ours do run differently, a state of emergency. Can't think of where that would fit into it necessarily.
No, it doesn't. Liquidated damages are controlled by the contract, okay? So the contract has, and we have contracts, right? A whole lot of conditions. But the contract tells you what circumstances will warrant a time extension to the contractor, okay? And those get processed as change orders, right? Allocating the additional dates. Those days at the end add up, and it will basically set a mark and say the contractor met substantial completion by the date that was set per contract. If it didn't, then we apply liquidated damages.
So does the state of emergency extend that or no?
It goes not automatically, right? So it goes back to, let me do this differently. Let me give you an example. During COVID, we kept our projects moving. FDO never stopped, right? And we see
Contact the Federal Aviation Administration to determine what would be required to authorize the use of the Palm Beach County Glades Airport and Pokey for drag racing events on a weekly basis pending the construction of a permanent facility. This is a follow-up to that request. So just a brief overview of the Pokey Airport. It's a federally obligated public use airport. It's located, obviously, 40 miles west of West Palm Beach. Palm Beach County is the owner and the operator of the airport and is considered the airport sponsor for purposes of federal and state regulatory grant assurance requirements. The airport has a single paved runway, and the terminal hangar facilities and parking facilities are leased to and maintained by a single fixed-based operator, Signature Flight Support. The airport has approximately 40,000 annual operations, or an average of about 100 operations per day. Pahokee supports a variety of aeronautical activities, including flight training and skydiving, with an annual economic impact of about $5.7 million. So runways are surrounded by various visual and navigational aids. This graphic indicates the distance of the facilities and the equipment from the runway edge at the Pahokee Airport. The department recently completed a $2.4 million runway rehabilitation project, which included the rehabilitation of the pavement, marking restoration, construction of blast pads, and other necessary improvements. Routine maintenance of the airfield includes rubber removal, repainting of pavement markings, sign replacement, lighting repairs, and replacement. The Pahokee Airport is also the home to a very high-frequency omnidirectional range, which is owned by the FAA. It's a navigational aid, and it's located about 500 feet from the edge of the runway. The VOR enables aircraft to determine its position and stay on course by receiving radio signals transmitted by a network of fixed ground radio beacons. The Pahokee VOR was used about 14,000 times in the months of July and August for navigational purposes, and the FAA has indicated that an outage of the Pahokee VOR would have significant impacts to air traffic in South and Central Florida based on its frequency of use. So the FAA believes that the primary purpose of public use airports is to serve aeronautical users, and that airports should remain open and available for aviation use. However, under certain conditions, an airport sponsor, such as the county, may receive FAA approval for temporary closure for non-aeronautical activities such as car shows, fairs, model plane events, running races, and other similar events. Approval of non-aeronautical events constitutes federal action triggering environmental review under the National Environmental Policy Act, and the level of review depends on the nature of the proposed event. The FAA and FDOT have established a comprehensive list of requirements that must be satisfied in order for an airport to be used for a non-aeronautical event, which includes the submission of a formal written request justifying the temporary closure, as well as a detailed plan to address the various elements of the event. So the FAA also recently adopted a policy on temporary closures for non-aeronautical purposes, which became effective in January of 2023. Grant Assurance 19, addressing the operation and maintenance of federally obligated airports, incorporates the requirements outlined in federal law, which require temporary closure of an airport for non-aeronautical purposes to be approved by the Secretary of Transportation. The approval authority is delegated to the FAA. Approval for the Florida Department of Transportation is also required for non-aeronautical events. However, the requirements are very similar. Therefore, I'm focusing on FAA guidance for this presentation. In accordance with the new policy, the FAA strongly discourages the closure of a runway at an airport with a single runway. The FAA also provides that airport sponsors must not allow non-aeronautical activities that will damage or impact the useful life of an airport's airfield facilities, and that doing so may be inconsistent with an airport sponsor's obligation to ensure the useful life of the pavement. The new policy specifically states, which is excerpt on the PowerPoint, that car racing events should not be approved by the FAA on recently rehabilitated pavements, and that airports are generally not considered suitable locations for high-velocity auto events. So the county will be required to provide a detailed justification for the proposed event, including a description of the non-aeronautical event, a statement of why the closure of the airport is necessary, and how the proposed non-aeronautical use justifies the loss of the airport for aeronautical activities, information regarding the alternatives that were considered by the airport sponsors, and why the alternative locations were not considered viable, and also clear identification of the net benefit to aviation. The county will also need to provide additional event details, including identification of an event sponsor. The airport cannot sponsor a non-aeronautical event such as drag racing at the airport per federal law. The dates and durations of the event. A single event is more likely to receive consideration than repeated closures. A detailed description of the event, the anticipated number of attendees, and event permitting requirements. And the permitting requirements vary whether it's a single special event or repeated use. The county will also be required to provide information about financial and local benefits, including a copy of the draft contract with the event sponsor for review by the FAA. Since this is a commercial non-aviation use, a solicitation may also be required. The county, as the airport sponsor, will be required to recover fair market value for the non-aeronautical use of airport property in accordance with the FAA's revenue use policy. The event sponsor will be required to restore airport property to its pre-event condition and repair all damage to the airport facilities. Pursuant to federal requirements, the county, as the airport sponsor, must also receive full compensation for the time of airport personnel and the use of airport resources. Airport funds are not permitted to subsidize a non-aeronautical event, and any amounts received from the event would be considered airport revenues. So we'd also be required to submit a safety and security plan. Security measures such as fencing, crowd control, parking, traffic control, debris management, communications and coordination, and a detailed sketch or map of the event location with physical controls, emergency response locations, restrooms, seating, parking, concessions, vendors, staging areas, light plants, etc., and a detailed description of the safeguards used to protect the airfield facilities and aeronautical infrastructure. We would also need to justify how we're minimizing aeronautical impacts. So we would need to identify the impact to the airport facilities and infrastructure, including the pavement markings, lighting, signage, and navigational aids. Lighting and navigational aids located on the runway edges will require protection through physical barriers. Pavement and markings cannot really be protected, so more frequent maintenance would be required. In addition, we would need to give the estimated number of attendees and the impacts on aviation. As I mentioned, the airport averages about 100 operations per day, with more operations occurring on the weekends. Coordination of the event would have to be made with the tenants and the airport users, and a tenant notification plan would be required to be submitted. We'd also need to provide evidence of support from airport users and tenants, a description of the facilities being closed and the method of closure, and draft notices to air missions. So we also reached out in anticipation of putting together information for the FAA to some of the other departments to get their feedback, including one of the questions was to the Planning, Zoning, and Building Department. A one-time event could probably be handled under a special event permit. If it is an ongoing event, it's not an approved use for the property. Therefore, the event sponsor would need to get a DRO approval, which is an administrative site plan approval, and that process takes about 120 days. Risk management also took a look at the proposed use. In order to mitigate liability, the event sponsor will be required to indemnify and hold the county and the fixed-based operator harmless from all liability costs, damages, including personal injury and death. The event sponsor will be required to maintain minimum insurance and name the county and the FBO as additional insureds. The specific amounts have not yet been determined. Event participants will be required to produce valid auto insurance and sign waivers holding the county and the FBO harmless. And documentation would be needed to be validated and reviewed prior to each event. And although the event sponsor will be required to insure and indemnify the county is still likely to be named in litigation if there is any damage or injury to participants or spectators, which will require a response from the county. I'll give you an example. In October 2021, there was an incident, a drag racing event held at an airport in Texas, which resulted in the death of 3 spectators, including 2 children. Although they had waivers on file, the city, the airport board, and the airport manager were all sued. A preliminary review was also conducted by Fire Rescue. Palm Beach County Fire Rescue conducted a preliminary review of what would be required. Each event would require at least 2 dedicated, fully staffed fire rescue units, and an incident action plan would be required per NFPA 610, including a plan for transporting traumatic injuries. The nearest trauma center is more than an hour away by vehicle, therefore air transport would be required. However, even that transportation time is about 30 minutes round trip. Security would also be required for each event. The size of the event and the anticipated number of attendees will determine this number of staff required. Due to constrained parking and roadways, traffic management is likely to be required in addition to general security. Potential impacts. As I mentioned, Pokey has a single fixed base operator signature flight support. The FBO is responsible for the operation, management, and maintenance of the terminal, hangar, and parking facilities, as well as providing aviation fuel and aviation services. The department has reached out to the FBO for its preliminary thoughts on the proposal and has indicated that they have significant concerns and are unlikely to support drag racing events at the airport. Their specific concerns relate to liability, damage to property, aeronautical user impacts, and potential financial losses. In order to address any concerns and provide access to and across the parking facilities, a lease amendment would need to be negotiated, which will likely require compensation for any losses to the FBO. The primary tenant at the Pahokee Airport is Skydive Palm Beach County. Based on a preliminary discussion with department staff, the business owner does not support the closure of the airport for drag racing events, and the owner also indicated to our staff that the company may file a complaint with the FAA, and if the county elects to pursue the events, and will seek to break its lease and leave the Pahokee Airport. We've been told by FAA that they are unlikely to support or approve any event without tenant support. So just in sum, the things that need to be considered, there are a significant number of obstacles. It's not impossible, but there are a lot of obstacles to move this forward. The first is that Pahokee is a single runway airport, therefore a full airport closure will likely be required, including in time for mobilization and demobilization. Therefore, it's likely that the required closure will be more than 24 hours. Mobilization will require the physical closure of the runways as well as the installation of appropriate barricades for the protection of the public, lighting and navigational aids. Portable restroom seating, temporary lighting will also be required. It's also likely the event sponsor will want to offer food and beverages, which will require coordination and placement of food trucks and other temporary facilities. Coordination with airport users will be required, which may require repositioning of aircraft. Once the event is complete, everything will need to be removed. The airfield will need to be inspected, which will most likely be inspected through a walking inspection to review for debris removal to ensure that nothing gets ingested in the aircraft engines, and to identify any damaged facilities. This would need to occur during daytime hours because there isn't sufficient lighting at that airport to do a proper inspection at night. Obviously, you can do for reflectivity, but if there's any FOD or anything surrounding the runways, it would be difficult to see. The runway would need to be physically reopened and after each event, and a notice to air emissions would need to be issued. The airport has limited on-site parking. It has approximately 19 spaces. Therefore, additional parking would most likely be required. There's a park located approximately 1,000 feet from the airport with additional parking, which might provide an opportunity for additional parking. And there is an adjacent sidewalk on the opposite side of the airport, but it doesn't have street lighting or lighting along the sidewalk. There's limited access into and out of the airport. It's located off our State Road 715, which is a 2-lane roadway. Therefore, traffic management will be important from a safety and security standpoint to ensure access in and out of the airport in the event of emergencies. A lease amendment will need to be negotiated with a fixed-based operator since the terminal facilities and parking area are leased to and maintained by the FBO, and the proposal is not consistent with current FAA policy. Therefore, approval is not assured by the FDOT or FAA. FAA policy specifically indicates that car racing events on rehabilitation runways should not be approved. Closure of an entire airport is highly scrutinized, and approval is unlikely without tenant or user support. Prior to submission to the FAA, we would have to select an event sponsor, draft a contract. If a solicitation was required, the process can take several months from development to final award. The department currently has limited staff to develop and process solicitations and contracts, which may impact other pending contracts. All the required documentation must be provided to the FAA, including a safety and security plan and any alternative analysis conducted by the county. And although the contract may include contingencies, the event sponsor will need to address any zoning requirements prior to the first event. Airport operations staff will also need to be involved in the mobilization and demobilization of each event, requiring additional staff resources on weekends, which may require mandatory overtime in order to complete the work. The department has not had a full operations complement since 2021, which has resulted in significant mandatory overtime. I will have a very difficult time asking my staff to do this extra lift without additional staffing. You also need to consider the potential damage to aeronautical infrastructure, including pavement, lighting, signage, navigational aids, markings obscured by rubber requiring increased maintenance, delays in repairs due to contractor supply chain issues, which has been discussed quite a bit today. Damage to aeronautical facilities pose safety concerns, whether or not it's significant enough to result in a continued closure. You also need to consider Pahokie's remote location, including the distance to local trauma facilities. And finally, these events inherently create some additional safety and liability concerns, which requires consideration of whether the potential benefits outweigh the risks. In some, while attaining approval from the FAA and FDOT is not impossible, there are a significant number of obstacles to implementing the proposal, and we'd ask the board to provide us with direction whether or not this is something you want us to pursue, and we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And we have Commissioner Baxter would like to say something.
Thank you, Mayor. Laura, I thought you were going to tell us this was going to be hard.
Everything with the federal government is hard.
I am constantly reminded that government has a lot of red tape, so then you add, the FAA and,
FDOT as well.
FDOT as well, and I am sure it is an uphill battle. We have hundreds of people that have filled our chambers here in support of a temporary solution to this problem. And where I see all this, it's a matter of, they can still tell us no.
Mm-hmm.
The FAA might turn it down, FDOT might turn it down, but I don't want to be the ones that make that determination. I would love, with the support, without objection from my fellow commissioners, to, give direction to work with that community and see what we can do for them. It might get turned down, but at the end of the day, we've tried. We've done our part, I think, as the commission to say, hey, let's do this and at least try for them. I think that's the least we could do.
And we would, if that's what the board would like us to do, we will certainly pursue it to the best of our abilities. I can't guarantee that it would actually be approved. I would say this is going to be a very heavy lift for the department. We do have staffing issues. So it will be a very involved process if we have to do a solicitation for an event sponsor and getting the contract documents done. We'll have to work through a safety plan with fire rescue as well. So even getting to the point of requesting approval requires a lot of staff time.
I completely understand, but that's what we're here for, to support the residents, to support the people that are here, to support a community that has felt, very upset about not having a place to go. This is also a safety issue. We have street racing, and will it solve all of it? Absolutely not. But I think will solve a huge portion, or at least say, give them a legal, potentially legal, because again, we're not guaranteeing it'll even get through FAA and FDOT, but I think we should at least try our hardest for the residents.
And if that's something the board as a group decides that you want, we'll pursue it to the best of our abilities. My job is to make recommendations, your job is to make policy, and I implement those policies. So we defer to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Commissioner Baxter. I'd like to recognize Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, and thank you for pursuing this on behalf of the board as we requested back in August. But it's clear to me that this is way beyond what airports should be involved in doing. You're there to run an airport, not to do these other things. And I cannot support and will not support asking you to do any more on this. I think you've brought us back the information. It's a very, it seems insurmountable at this point based on my interactions with the FAA. They don't say no, but they make things very clear that that's not what they want, and eventually they do say no. So it's not something I can support, so that's where I stand on this.
Hi, thank you. Commissioner Woodward, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for all of this information and the work that you put into it. I too have a problem supporting moving forward with this because at best, it's going to be a temporary solution. It looks like it would be every time there wants to be an event, you go through the process. It's not going to be something that, hey, even once a month, we can't tell them you're going to have this land or, you can do this. So if we're going to ask staff to spend any time on this, it should be the department that can maybe find a permanent location for this and not this. This is not what I feel comfortable asking airports to work on, especially with all of these hurdles and it only being at best maybe a few times a year that we could actually have this done. I don't think that's a good solution and I wouldn't support it.
Commissioner Baxter.
Clarification, I'm trying to find out what Commissioner Woodward means by only a few times a year.
So we could request it either a week, it's really your determination. Generally, these are single one-time events. We could request it as one single time event. We could request it as a repeated event. Whether the FAA would require us to submit new application every time we want to repeat it, I don't know the answer to that.
And that's assuming an approval, so on and so forth. So, I mean, obviously, there's a lot of hurdles with anything with government, which constantly, deters. But I would love to see us, obviously support those residents. And as far as temporary goes, the reason for this was because we do have a dedicated place of, we were trying to look at 20 Mile Bend as a potential place for this. But even from an RFP standpoint going on, we're talking years. So when we say temporary, we're talking how many years until that could even potentially be? I mean, I'm going to guess 4 at minimum, because we know everything takes so long. So that was kind of the idea.
And I'm going to be candid, from our standpoint with the staffing issues that we have, this won't happen immediately, even requesting approval, because we will have to go through a solicitation and contract negotiation and gather all the information required to make the submittal. So if we are running at full speed 6 months, we could probably submit for approval. And then I cannot guarantee that it would actually be approved.
Which still is a much shorter, I think, timeframe than constructing, building everything out on a property, but that's just where I am.
Okay, thank you. Ismi, are you standing there for a reason?
Good afternoon. In
Good
case
afternoon.
any additional
You're
information was
recognized.
required regarding 20 Mile Bend, Ismi Ayala, Director of Facilities Development and Operations, I would like to share with the board in support of the item that is being discussed right now, that we're coming to the board on December 5th with an agenda item seeking direction on 20 Mile Bend and the 2 projects that have been considered for the same.
Thank you very much. All right, Commissioner Barnett.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Beebe, you mentioned litigation that was brought at an airport in Texas. A mother and her children were injured. You said that there was a lawsuit brought. I was curious as to what the disposition was, if there was.
I don't know what the disposition is, but the fact is that the county and the city and the airport manager were required to respond to it, and from a public perspective, It's not ideal. I assume we're doing this for goodwill purposes, so if an incident like that occurred with the trauma facilities as far away as they are, obviously there's some significant concerns about that.
And this was a lawsuit that was brought even though they had signed waivers?
Yes.
Waivers of total liability.
Yes. They
anybody
were
can sue anybody
waivers,
for-
and they may have been upheld. I don't know what the disposition was, but it's still, when something happens, even if you're indemnified and insured, you will still be sued, and you will still have to respond and coordinate with the attorneys. Even when we have indemnification, I'll give you an example of a recent lawsuit. We ended up settling for, I think it was $15,000, related to something that we shouldn't have to settle. It doesn't matter how ironclad it is, you may end up in a situation where your attorneys are still having to address it.
Would you mind getting information on that lawsuit if you're aware?
Sure, I can see if I can find anything.
Thank you. Also, you mentioned the burden that your department would be under and the massive amount of staff required, additional staff to undertake this operation. Can you go into a little more detail on just how much of a burden would be imposed onto you and your staff?
I have a complement of 14 operations officers. I have not had a full staff since 2021. Our staffing has been so low that I have come and assisted with our operations. We're in a better place now. We're able to implement some pay increases, so we have been able to hire a few more people, but we're still down staff. They've been doing significant amounts of overtime. They have a safety and security responsibility for the Palm Beach International Airport, which is their priority. We would not pull staff from PBI to go to Pahokee for these events. We just hired a general aviation manager. There's a possibility he could do that, but then again, that would be mandatory overtime as well, and unless we changed his working days. That's not ideal because he's responsible for the inspection of all of our general aviation airports. We added that position in because we were having issues with making sure that we were getting those all timely inspected. So we have a significant issue with staffing in our operations department. It's ongoing. I'm hoping to have a full staff pretty soon. I think we're down 3 people at this point. But it's a lot to ask for folks that work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to do mandatory overtime. And they've been doing it for a couple of years now.
Thank you, and for those reasons, I have to agree with former Mayor Weiss and Commissioner Woodward, and object to this as well.
I have a couple of questions. There are road races in Nashville, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
There's road races in Miami, Florida, and they're very successful. Palm Beach County has had Moroso and then the International Raceway for many, many years. And I think under good management, they were run successfly at a profit and as a great asset for the people here in the county. And I hated to see it go, the International Raceway. We had no choice. I would like to suggest that since we have the interest here in the county with people who want to race, either off-road or off-road racing or NASCAR, that we pursue it, but not necessarily with this airport, because it seems like sometimes there's so many challenges, it's best not to go down that road, so to speak. I'd like to see, I know there's a lot of interest in the public because they've notified my office as well. And I think that possibly we could pursue this in a public-private partnership where, because there's money to be made in this type of sport. It's also very good for car condos, where a lot of folks who have so many cars, fine cars, they like to keep them at a raceway and then show them off ever so often. I'm not in that category, but I respect those who have fine cars there. So if we could table this for now, rather than to take a vote or to encumber one of our departments into doing a lot of work, which would cost the taxpayers money, as well as maybe get to a road where we're not gonna win. But let's pause and let's see if there are private entities, private enterprises, who would like to work with us in putting together an enterprise, a joint venture in this type of entertainment. I think that it is worth possibly pursuing in that regard with a public-private partnership for motorcycle racing, as well as for all these others. In fact, they had really fine schools for teenagers who wanted to take these I don't remember the names of them, but was that Skip Barber? Yeah, Skip Barber. All three kids went there, and we all received a little bit of deduction from our car insurance for teenagers. And I think it's a good thing. I really do. I think that this type of entertainment is a good thing for the residents to have. But I do not think that it is prudent for us at this moment, at this time, to do it on our own. It was never government run. It was always privately run. I like to see private enterprise do what they do best, which is run businesses at a profit. If they need county involvement, we may talk to them. But I don't think this is a government type of function for us to spend money on looking into. So for that reason, I'm going to recognize Administrator Baker, because I know she has something to say.
My husband would love a racetrack, but we won't let him do it. We're coming back to you on December 5th with some more robust information in regard to racing and 20 Mile Bend. This board directed us to do some initial work on this. We did do an RFI. We're going to bring back those results and all of that information, and then we'll look for the board to give us some direction. So we've done some of the initial work, and then we'll lay that out for the board. And we agree with you that if it's going to be done, it should be a public-private partnership.
Very good. Thank you, Administrator Baker. Are there any other comments or questions at this time? And I think we should probably table this until December 5th, and we can review it some more, okay, at that time? And possibly we could have maybe some private entities come in and speak on it as well. Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you for making it short. I appreciate it. Is there any other business before the board at this time besides lunch? If not, then we are formally adjourned at this time. Thank you.